I wanted to get to Andrew Cuomo. I need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Because Andrew Cuomo is being urged to resign after an investigative probe has found that he sexually harassed 11 women. 11. So this can't, I mean, at this point, it is impossible to say that these people are just lying. I mean, it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 4, it's not 5. It is 11 women. 11. And it's from an investigative probe, so it isn't just 11 people coming forward. It's the investigative probe has found 11 women. So they checked the credibility of the claims. Let's read a little bit of this article quick. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo faced mounting pressure Tuesday to resign, including from President Joe Biden. That is the part that is massive. Having the President of the United States that is very popular within his own party, if you check among the base, and other one-time Democratic allies, after an investigation found he sexually harassed nearly a dozen women and worked to retaliate against one of his accusers. I think he should resign, Biden told reporters Tuesday, echoing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and New York U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand. So that means Joe Biden has called for him to resign. Nancy Pelosi has called for him to resign. Chuck Schumer has called for him to resign. All of the leadership of the party, Kirsten Gillibrand, has called for him to resign. I don't know if Jim Clyburn has come out. I don't know if Bernie has come out. I know Bernie would call for him to resign as well if asked. But I don't know if Jim Clyburn has asked. But I mean, like, the only two I haven't heard of is Jim Clyburn and Steny Hoyer, really. And I'm sure if pressured, since everybody else said, they would agree. It seems that basically the leadership has completely lost faith in Cuomo. And I don't think it's just this. In fact, I will tell you it isn't just this. It is this compounded by his terrible response to COVID and his plummeting popularity. Cuomo at one point was being considered for like a Democratic nominee for president. Why? Because he wrote a book about how good his COVID response was. He was getting, due to Republican attacks, he was getting more popular within the Democratic Party. He was gaining a little bit of national attention as governor of New York. He was being legitimately considered as somebody who could run for president one day. And there was articles being written about him running for president, about the proposal. He wrote a book about his response to COVID, most likely in preparation for him to run for higher office, whether that would be for a New York Senate seat or he would run for president. We don't know. He would probably try to pull what Larry Hogan's going to be trying to pull in a little bit, which is either running for Senate or for president, most likely Senate. It'd be the smartest thing for him to do it. So his national attention that the national media and, of course, the right has been using him as a punching bag. His terrible COVID response, and now this all being compounded, but not 11 women coming forward, but an investigative probe finding. So this isn't like some partisan hackery, but an investigative probe finding that he sexually harassed 11 women. It is undoubtedly, this is unshakable proof that he did this. Unshakable proof that he did this. He has completely lost the support of the Democratic leadership. He is most certainly losing the support of what you would be considered his base. The investigative probe bombshell, his terrible response to COVID. Andrew Cuomo is basically seconds away from being dead in the water. The leader of the state assembly, which has the power to bring impeachment charges, said it was clear Cuomo could no longer remain in office. So not only that, it's not only national leadership that has lost faith in him. It's not only his own base that has lost faith in him. It's not only the media that, of course, is covering this and going after him. It's not only the Republicans that are, of course, going to go after him, but it's also state-level politicians, including the leader of the state assembly. He has lost basically all support. The only person there to support him maybe is his brother, right? Chris Cuomo, and media, which there are reports that Chris Cuomo basically advised him about what he should do going forward. And the speaker, a Democrat, said he would move to complete an impeachment inquiry. So now it's moving from an investigation to impeachment as quickly as possible, meaning this is going to travel at breakneck speed, and there's basically going to be nobody there to stop it. Cuomo remained defiant, said in a taped response to the findings that the facts are much different than what has been portrayed, that he would never touch anyone inappropriately and made sexual advances. I mean, this is complete nonsense. He obviously did. I mean, this isn't just like somebody coming forward, which alone should have weight to it. This is a probe, an investigative probe. This isn't partisan hackery. The probe found 11 women. It wasn't even 11 women coming forward. It was the probe itself found 11 women. Everybody has accepted this fate. Everyone. Joe Biden has accepted it. Nancy Pelosi's accepted it. Chuck Schumer's accepted it. His own voters and supporters have accepted it. And the state assembly and the state assembly leadership has accepted it. From every level, to local, to national, to state, everywhere has accepted that he has done this now. The only person holding out for him is his brother, who of course advised him, Chris Cuomo. In a telephone conversation, Cuomo insisted he wouldn't leave office and told the speaker he needed to work fellow Democrats. Can anybody send me the video where he responds to this? Can someone please send me the video? I haven't seen it in full. Needed to work with fellow Democrats and garner enough votes to stop an impeachment, according to a person familiar with the conversation. Now, whether he can stop an impeachment, I don't know enough. But the fact that that his own state leadership is turning against him does not sound good for that measure. Could he convince enough of the legislative assembly not to impeach him? Possibly. And I'm going to get into his ability to stay in office in a little bit. But Hesty said he couldn't do that, said the person who could not publicly discuss details of the private conversation and spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. The nearly 5-month non-criminal investigation. So a lot of people said he's going to prison. He's not going to prison. The worst thing that can happen to him is him getting impeached. Overseen by the New York's Attorney General. Okay, let's be clear. New York's Attorney General. Let's go look at who that is, right? Just quick Google search. That's all it takes. Is this partisan hackery? Oh, wait. She's a lefty. Or we'll say lefty, left wing. She's not some Republican going out, searching, just trying to find some way to tear down Cuomo. This isn't partisan hackery. This was an honest inquiry into whether he sexually harassed those women. Concluded that 11 women from within and outside state government were telling the truth when they said Cuomo had touched them inappropriately, commented on their appearance, and made suggestive comments about their sex lives. These accusers included an aide who said Cuomo groped her breast at the governor's mansion, and a state trooper on his security detail who said he ran his fingers across her stomach and her back. Ann Clark, who led the probe with former U.S. Attorney June Kim, said the allegations had varying degrees of corroboration, including other witnesses and contemporaneous text messages. Investigators interviewed 179 people, including the governor himself. These interviewees and pieces of evidence revealed a deeply disturbing yet clear picture. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed and former state employees in violation of federal and state laws. New York Attorney General Letitia James said at a press conference on Tuesday. When I said, I shouldn't have said she was a lefty, to be very clear. What I meant to indicate was that she was not a Republican. That's what I wanted to indicate. Many of the women said they feared a retaliation if they reported Cuomo's behavior. Investigators said, describing the administration as a hostile workplace rife with fear and intimidation. I'm not surprised. If you're talking to the governor of the state of New York, if you piss him off, he can ruin your political career, either with a press release or just telling other people not to hire you or telling people you weren't that good at your job. If you try to speak up, you can lose your job. This is the problem with power imbalances. On one occasion, the probe found, Cuomo's staff took action intended to discredit and disparage an accuser, Lindsey Boland, the first former employee to publicly accuse him of wrongdoing, including linking confidential personal files and drafting a letter attacking her credibility. The investigation's finding, detailed in a 165 public report, which you guys can go out and read if you want to, turned up the pressure on the 63-year-old governor who just a year ago was widely hailed for a steady leadership during the darkest day of COVID, even writing a book about it. Since then, he's seen his standing crumble with a drumbeat of harassment allegations, questions, and a separate ongoing inquiry into whether state resources went into writing the book, and a discovery that his administration concealed the true number of nursing home deaths during the pandemic. It's over for Chris Cuomo, in my opinion. I mean, Andrew Cuomo. Chris Cuomo's going to keep his job at CNN, whether we like it or not. It's over for Andrew. This guy is dead in political water. He will never be president, just to be clear. There is no way this guy's going to be able to 180 the situation and become president. Good, in my opinion. I just wanted to make that clear. Now, he has lost the support of basically all of his allies. And, of course, the tide is taken against him. The question of his impeachment, because he's not going to be this was not a criminal investigation. He's not going to be facing any prison time or criminal consequences. The question of whether he will be impeached is another one. I would say usually in these scenarios they're not impeached, but the fact that the state leadership is pushing for impeachment and pushing for it fast, he might get impeached. Now, historically, the trend of sexual harassment allegations and claims being made against state leadership and government officials, the trend is that if you ride out the controversy, you usually keep your job. Statistically, that's the case. Whether that should happen is a different question, but that statistically is what usually happens when accusers come forward and bring you into controversy. That's what usually occurs. The difference here is that this isn't just an accuser. This is an investigation and probe into it. So this is something with more weight. So that is something that I think is held against him more, or that would make it difficult for him to write it out. All of his public officials that have been associated with him are calling for him to resign, including the President of the United States, House leadership, Senate leadership, and state-level leadership. Basically, everyone is united on him resigning. This is at the same time that the nursing home controversy has hit him. And of course, the book isn't looking too good right now. There is so much hitting Andrew Cuomo at the same time that I would say that if he somehow stays New York governor, it's going to take some political maneuvering I haven't seen before. So it would actually surprise me. But any chance of him becoming senator or president, that's gone. That's done. Now it's merely a question of whether he's going to get impeached or not. It's not a question of whether these allegations are credible in the media's eyes or in anyone's eyes. It's simply a question of whether he is going to get impeached or he's going to be able to ride out the rest of his term. That's all the question is. Has anybody leaked me his response in video form in chat? I wanted to actually watch it. I wanted to see, because if we look at his response, we can actually look at it to see if he even has the skills to possibly stay governor for the rest of his term and not get impeached. I'm hoping he gets impeached. It's just that the trend is usually with this stuff, if you just try to ride it out, people usually survive. The difference, of course, being that this is a probe and that's what found it, instead, of course, just accusers walking forward. Can we actually find it? Andrew Cuomo response. Oh, here's his full response. Oh. Okay, let's watch it.
Over the past several months, you have heard a number of complaints brought against me. I called for an independent review, and I said at the beginning I would let the process unfold. I didn't want anyone to say that I...
And he did let the process unfold. But that report found also that he did try to intimidate many of his accusers. So when he says he let the process unfold, I mean, kinda. But before the process went underway, you are already undermining the credibility of your accusers. So how much did you really let the process unfold?
Interfered. I said I would hold my tongue, and I have, making only limited comments. It has been a hard and a painful period for me and my family, especially as others feed ugly stories to the press. But I cooperated with the review, and I can now finally share the truth. My attorney, who is a non-political former federal prosecutor, has done a response to each.
Why would you meet? Wait, can we be clear? Why would he bring up his attorney being non-political? He is your attorney. His job is to defend you. He doesn't have political motivations. He has monetary motivations. Of course he's going to defend you. He's your attorney. That's his job.
Each allegation. And the facts are much different than what has been portrayed. That document is available.
I love that, like, Cuomo's response to 163 pages of just completely condemning evidence, including evidence that he tried to undermine them, from 11 accusers. It isn't just them stepping forward, but it was the independent probe into it that everyone else has accepted. And his response is, let me drop a 14-minute YouTube video real quick.
Available on my website. If you are interested, please take the time to read the facts and decide for yourself. First, I want you to know directly from me that I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances.
He sexually harassed security officers. He groped women. I mean, he put his hands on women's stomachs and, like, ran hands down their back. I mean, this is 11 different women. And their testimony has not only been backed up by the probe itself, but by multiple witnesses. It's good enough evidence for everyone all the way up to the president. The evidence is clear. There's plenty of evidence.
I am 63 years old. I've lived my entire adult life in public view.
Wait, okay. That means nothing. So did Roy Moore. Matt Gaetz is doing that right now, and the dude's like being investigated for being a pedophile for sex trafficking minors, right? So did Donald Trump, and he has a long history of sexual harassment allegations. Or we can look at people like Bill Cosby. Or how about we look at that one movie director? I forgot his name. I forget his name. Jeffrey Epstein has somewhat been in public view. Maxwell was in public view. That means nothing.
That is just not who I am. And that's not who I have ever been.
Wow, he was like, if you want to see the evidence, go somewhere else for it. I'm not going to tell you it right now.
There is one complaint that has been made that bothered me most. That was a complaint made by a young woman, Charlotte Bennett, who worked in my office. And it's important to me that you fully understand the situation. Charlotte worked in my office last year as an
Weinstein, that's who I meant.
Assistant. She was smart, talented, and eager to learn. She identified herself to me as a survivor of sexual assault. She said that she came to work in my administration because of all the progress we had made in fighting sexual assault. She talked about the personal trauma that she endured and how she was handling it.
This has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the allegations. He's just trying to make it look like his office was like a haven, like little heaven for sexual assault victims, while the report itself showed that it was an extremely hostile work environment. Just a complete lie.
I could see how it had affected her. I could see her pain. People now ask me, why was I even talking to this young woman if I knew she was dealing with such issues? Why did I even engage with her?
By the way, he's right now trying to pick the best possible, he's trying to pick the story that he would consider, quote unquote, like the weakest, right? And even the one that he's picking is not like a weak even testimony. And also it's out of 11, right? This is like when we see like people try to deny that Assad gassed his own people, and then they'll just try to pick the cases that have the least evidence when there's so many instances of Assad gassing his own people.
That is the obvious and fair question, and one I have thought a lot about. The truth is that her story resonated deeply with me. I had heard the same story before, with the same ugliness, the same injustice, the same damage. Not only had I heard the story before, I had lived with the story before. My own family member is a survivor of sexual.
This is all anecdote. He's trying to pull away from the fact that he sexually harassed like a ton of women. 11 women. An independent probe. The president agrees. Nancy Pelosi agrees. Senator Chuck Schumer agrees. His own allies on the state level agrees. Everybody agrees that he did this, including not only the Attorney General of New York, but the 2 investigators they brought in for an independent probe. This isn't just 11 women coming forward. This is 11 women coming forward in a probe, an independent probe, with eyewitness testimony added to it. And don't think that they never took in his side of the story. As the probe said, they took in his side of the story. But you want to know what? If he was just telling anecdote out of anecdote into investigators, no wonder he was obviously found to have sexually harassed 11 women.
Assault in high school. I have watched her live and suffer with the trauma. I would do anything to make it go away for her. But it never really goes away. I spent countless days and nights working through these issues with her and therapists and counselors. I'm governor of the state of New York, but I felt powerless to help and felt that I had failed her. I couldn't take the pain away. I still can't. And this young woman brought it all back. She is about the same age. I thought I had learned a lot about the issue from my family's experience. I thought I could help her work through a difficult time. I did ask her questions I don't normally ask people. I did ask her how she was doing and how she was feeling. And I did ask questions to try to see if she had positive, supportive dating relationships.
See, he is picking this testimony out of the 11 because this is the only one he can possibly try to spin to make him look good. And even that is difficult for him. He had 11 cases. In the one he picks, he still can't even make himself look good in it.
I know too well the manifestations of sexual assault trauma and the damage that it can do in the aftermath. I was trying to make sure she was working her way through it the best she could. I thought I had learned enough and had enough personal experience to help her. But I was wrong. I have heard Charlotte and her lawyer, and I understand what they are saying. But they read into comments that I made and draw in.
They read into me groping them. I mean, I was just giving them a friendly boob tap. You can't, dude, just give up. Dude, it's over. Just give up. Just go be a lobbyist in some, like, godforsaken political pack or something so we don't have to listen to you anymore.
Inferences that I never meant. They ascribe motives I never had. And simply put, they heard things that I just didn't say. Charlotte, I want you to know that I am truly and deeply sorry. I brought my personal experience into the workplace, and I shouldn't have done that. I was trying to help. Obviously, I
wonder if he's going to apologize for groping women, or this is the only one he's going to admit to that actually happened, because this one he can somewhat spin it so he can make himself look like he's apologetic, even though he's not even presenting all the facts of this particular story.
I am even more sorry that I further complicated the situation.
I'm sorry you took my benevolence poorly. That's basically what's going on right now, yeah.
My goal was the exact opposite. I wish nothing but good for you and for all survivors of sexual assault. There is another complaint I want to address from a woman in my office who said that I groped her in my home office. Let me be clear, that never happened.
Eyewitness testimony.
She wants anonymity, and I respect that. So I am limited but what I can say. But her lawyer has suggested that she will file a legal claim for damages. That will be decided in a court of law. Trial by newspaper or biased reviews are not.
A woman said, I groped her. Response, no. Brilliant defense here by Andrew Cuomo, political mastermind.
Not the way to find the facts in this matter. I welcome the opportunity for a full and fair review.
Do I think that CNN should sorry, so ask me a question. Do you think CNN should fire Chris Cuomo for what he did? Absolutely. They're not going to do it, though.
Review before a judge and a jury, because this just did not happen. Other complainants raised against me questions that have sought to unfairly characterize and weaponize everyday interactions that I've had with any number of New Yorkers. The New York Times published a front page picture of me touching a woman's face at a wedding and then kissing her on the cheek.
I love how they leave it up for literally like half a second, because even though like I don't know if you can consider that sexual harassment, but like I don't know like the intricacies of it. Personally, I'm not grabbing people's faces and kissing them on cheeks. But they only keep it on the screen for like half of a second because even they acknowledge it still looks bad.
His face at a wedding and then kissing her on the cheek. That is not front page news. I've been making the same gesture in public all my life. I actually learned it from my mother and from my father. It is meant to convey warmth, nothing more.
Even if it's meant to create warmth, I don't think he did that maliciously, right? Just like when Joe Biden like hugs people and like goes and stuff like that. I don't think it's meant maliciously. But again, he's concentrating on this because he doesn't want you to look at for too long the fact that he groped a woman, the fact that there was all these witnesses, the fact there was all this other stuff and all this other. He wants to concentrate on the little things like this, like what the Washington Post said, instead of going through all the 11 accusations. Instead of going through the 163-page report, instead of talking about the eyewitness testimony, he wants to talk about the New York Times or Washington Post or what these media outlets did instead of the report, because the report is damning.
Indeed, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of photos of me using the exact same gesture. I do it with everyone, black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ, powerful people, friends, strangers, people who I meet on the street. After the event,
Gotta be honest, he's not making himself look good.
the woman told the press that she took offense at the gesture. And for that, I apologize.
Again, he's apologizing for stuff that is not enough to like cancel his political career. He's apologizing just enough to make himself look apologetic, while also denying all the stuff that makes him look god-awful.
Another woman stated that I kissed her on the forehead at our Christmas party and that I said, "Ciao, Bella." Now, I don't remember doing it.
I guess he's not going to deny this one outright because it was at a party, so maybe there was more witnesses, so he's going to say, I don't remember instead.
But I'm sure that I did.
Oh, never mind. Damn.
I do kiss people on the forehead.
Again, why is he focusing on this and not all the groping and the sexual harassment comments and bringing up people's sex lives and stuff like that? Why is he specifically concentrating on this so much?
I do kiss people on the cheek. I do kiss people on the hand. I do embrace people. I do hug people, men and women. I do on occasion say, "Ciao, Bella," On occasion, I do slip and say sweetheart or darling or honey. I do banter.
That last one hurt. Honey. Darling.
With people. I do tell jokes, some better.
Why would he admit to that? From like just like if he's gonna deny all the stuff that he very obviously did, if he's gonna deny half of it, why didn't he just put that in the deny camp? Why would he admit to that one?
Than others. I am the same person in public as I am in private.
Okay, so I'll just admit right here, I was saying like I'm gonna look if he's gonna be like smart enough to somehow like maneuver. He's not. He's not smart enough to maneuver this. He's fucked. Just gonna be blunt here. He's fucked.
You have seen me do it on TV through all my briefings and for 40 years before that. I try to put people at ease. I try to make them smile. I try to connect with them. And I try to show my appreciation and my friendship. I now understand that there are generational or cultural perspectives that, frankly, I hadn't fully appreciated.
Some cultures don't like it when I grab their tits. Wow. Thank God. Thank God you finally realized that at the age of 63.
And I have learned from this. Now, the state already has an advanced sexual harassment training program for all employees, including me. But I want New York State government to be a model of office behavior.
Oh my God.
And I have brought in an expert to design a new sexual harassment policy and procedures, and to train the whole team, myself included. I accept responsibility, and we are making changes. Other complaints relate to the work environment. Now, I have always said my office is a demanding place to work, and that it is not for everyone. We work really.
We have demands like, let me touch your back, let me touch your stomach, let me touch your boobs, let me talk about your sex life. Really demanding. In fact, the report said it was hostile.
Really hard. My office is no typical 9-to-5 government office, and I don't want it to be. The stakes we deal with are very high.
He wants it to be a brothel.
Sometimes even life and death. We have to get the job.
Couldn't it have just been, look, unironically, and I mean this, if you are a politician and you're going to sexually harass people, and you want to do that, and you're having those feelings for whatever reason, it would be easier for you to get out of a scandal where you hired a sex worker and it was all consensual than this. As long as you're not a hypocrite on sex work, it's going to be easier for you to maneuver out of that scandal. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with hiring sex workers. So if you get that urge, you're wealthy enough, just do that.
Done. I promised you that I would, and I will. But now, a number of complaints target female managers, which smacks to me of a double standard. First, when have you ever seen male managers maligned and villainized for working long hours or holding people accountable or for being tough? A strong male manager is respected and rewarded. But
he's trying to turn this into a feminist angle, isn't he? Andrew Cuomo, the feminist.
a strong female manager is ridiculed and stereotyped. It is a double standard. It is sexist.
Oh my
and it
God.
must be challenged. Also,
I thought my female managers were going to be strong enough to resist me. Like, what is the angle he's trying to... He's not good at this, man.
remember where we are. Today, we are living in a superheated, if not toxic, political environment. That shouldn't be lost on anyone. Politics and bias are interwoven throughout every aspect of this situation. One would be naive to think otherwise, and New Yorkers are not naive. I understand these dynamics. My father used to say, God rest his soul, that politics is an ugly business. As usual, he was right. But for my father,
And you're an ugly man, but so you're great for the business, I guess.
and for me, it's worth it. Because despite it all, at the end of the day, we get good things done for people. And that is what really matters. And for those who are using this moment to score political points or seek publicity or personal gain, I say they actually discredit the legitimate sexual harassment victims that the law was designed to protect. My last point is this. I say to my daughters all the time that as complicated as life gets,
I have heard
is as simple.
The worst, and the thing that always feels the worst, and people would think when they say it, it sounds great, but when people say, I can't be sexist, I would never sexually harass anyone. Did you know that I have sisters? Did you know that I have daughters? Did you know that I know women? Like, of course you know women, okay? Yeah, you came out of a mother's vagina somewhere. You know women. I understand that, right? The thing is, you don't view your own kids and your sisters and your mother the same way that you view other women. Like, I don't view my father or my brother, or if I had a son, the same way I would view a male figure in my life that I have a sexual interest in. I don't view them the same way. There's different emotions involved there. It's not a good defense.
As life is. My job is not about me. My job is about you. What matters to me at the end of the day is getting the most done I can for you. And
unless he's suggesting that he has a certain different interest in his daughters, which I don't think he is, then the point wouldn't make sense.
that is what I do every day. And I will not be distracted from that job. We have a lot to do. We still have to manage the COVID beast. It is not dead yet. It's not over.
Now he's trying to say, hey, I want to get back to work. This is him trying to preserve the rest of his governorship. Because maybe he thinks if he survives the governorship, he could save his political career. Because even if he can't become president, he might become an influential person in backroom doors. Because nobody's going to hire him if he just admits to everything. So he's not going to admit to everything. If he admits to a few things, he's trying to walk a fine line. Because if he admits to a few things, then any political PAC that hires him can say, well, we don't know for sure he did that. So, I mean, there would be some plausible deniability, even though there really isn't any. So that's the fine line he's trying to walk here. So he's somewhat hireable.
We then have to reopen and
Also, his COVID response was god-awful, and he hid the numbers about nursing homes. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I could be a partisan hack here and say he didn't. He did.
Imagine our state, because our future is going to be what we make it. I know we can do these things because I know the strength and the character of New Yorkers. Look at the progress we made on COVID. It is amazing. We went from the highest infection rate in the country to one of the lowest infection rates in the country. Nobody thought that we could do it, but New Yorkers did it. That shows that there's nothing that we can't.
Look, and if there's somebody in the chat who's just super partisan Democrat who wants to defend him just because he's a Democrat, let me be clear. There are 1 million people that could replace him that would be better than him. If anything, this man is now dead weight for the Democratic Party. This is somebody hurting the party. This is somebody hurting women. This is somebody hurting the movement. And we do not need this man among us. We can kick him out. Even if you just think upon partisan lines, which you shouldn't, it doesn't even make political sense to continue to support him. And that's why Joe Biden, Nancy, and Chuck, even though I'm sure they had personal feelings about his sexual harassment as well, have cut ties. It's over.
Do when we work together as one community, as one family, as New Yorkers. We will. Thank you.
What a scumbag. Not excited for this to be a YouTube video. Not excited.